We got
TopLobsta Productions.
In the shadows of the ancient ones, they never went away. They're still here today.
Nephilim Death Squad. When the last trumpet sounds and the heavens crack. Blah, 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 blah. Nephilim Death Squad. Nephilim Death Squad. Death Squad. Death Squad. Death Squad.
Welcome, Black ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Nephilim Death Squad. I am David Lee Corbo, aka The Raven. That is TopLobsta, the father of disinformation. Before we get into today's guest, a little reminder, guys, patreon.com is a great place to be if you want early access to episodes, ad-free listening experiences, as well as unedited versions and tickets to Bohemian Grove whenever the hell that happens. We were supposed to have
working it out.
We were supposed to have a meeting today about it, and then the person that was going to meet us, they bailed. And so, but we're still tentatively laboring, trying to make Bohemian Grove happen. It will, and tickets will be there first. Also, discount codes off of merchandise from TopLobsta.com. Where's the moon map shirt? We have a little moon map sign hiding at the bottom of the table here. I don't know if anybody can see that, but check that one out.
Yeah, we still got our moon map shirt for sale. Go out there. Don't forget that. Steve did us dirty, and
That's
that's
right.
fine.
But we got it back.
We got it back.
And we've come full circle now. Guys, joining us today is Heidi Luv, the return of Heidi Luv. Heidi, before we get into this conversation, a really fascinating one, because you've been at the cutting edge of a bunch of research surrounding Epstein, his obsession with Mormon blood, and a number of other things that connect to it. I can't wait to get into that, but let's tell everybody first and foremost where they can find you and find your work.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having me back, guys. It's been a long
course.
time. We'll talk about that. But I'm Heidi Luv of the Unfiltered Rise podcast. I'm everywhere podcasts are served. I do have my own website, unfilteredrisepodcast.com, but most of my work is going to be on Spotify. So just so you guys know that, over 200 something episodes there. This has a bunch of backlinks, bio, all the things that you might need to know about me. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
One more time. What is that website?
Unfilteredrisepodcast.com.
Awesome. Yeah, I saw that was the occult backdrops to Mormonism, which seems to be the gift that keeps on giving. There's so much wild stuff in Mormonism. You know, previous to our last discussion, I kind of thought if you asked me how, I don't know, how tied in Mormons are or how big of an influence Mormonism is.
Yeah, I would have said zero.
Yeah. I really didn't think about it at all. And then after talking to you, finding about the mountain of DNA and all these other things, their connection to ancestry.
Which, in our defense, is why we had to have somebody come back on that they were like, wait a second.
Yeah. We had a couple of...
And I said, because the things that you told me about Mormonism, I was like, it's just too insane to all be completely true. And not to say that you're lying, but to say that, I guess Mormonism itself, even just like the basic core tenets of the religion, were insane. And I was like,
yes.
When you came on and you told us what apparently it, and I'll
when you say Mormon Mafia, even I'm like, what? Mormon Mafia?
That's legit.
No, it's very legit.
Here's the thing, Heidi. I'm going to be real with you. I've had a lot of like skirmishes with Mormons since.
Oh yeah,
and
since of a falling out with the Mormon
they'll
community.
come for you. Yeah, they're gonna come for you.
They came for me hardcore over. I don't even remember what I did, but everything you said was kind of true. And then the people that we had come on, they're a friend of the show. I don't even know if he listens anymore. He's like, I have to rebut that, and I was like, yeah, sure. I feel like that's fair. I feel like it's fair.
Yeah.
If we have a very hard hitting, cutting down.
What would you call it? It's a very there's a word for it. Where it's just not a good look for the Mormons. After Heidi stepped off the show,
it was horrific.
It's
Heidi.
not a good look for the Mormons at all.
It was horrific.
I was like, listen, this is not a Mormon show, but I do want to hear the counter side to this. And I heard it, and I'll be honest, when the episode ended, I was like, thanks a lot. I looked at David, I said, I think less of this religion now that I've heard the explanation from the people that were that were countering what you were saying.
Yeah.
It was kind of crazy to me.
I want to say, like, the frustration I had wasn't with the rebuttal that he did. He took a bunch of my shows after this, and I don't know if you guys know this, and he went on Rumble or somewhere, and he made his own channel of just dissecting every word I said and talking about my appearance and weird stuff. So I don't have a problem with people rebutting anything I say, but when it gets personal and then they're pausing it every 5 minutes, it gets weird. So that's why I was so mad.
I didn't know that.
Well, what we said before the show started was, it's one thing. We have a foot in the comedy realm, right? So when you're talking about comedy and you're making jokes and everything, like that's kind of a dangerous place to be. But right now, it is people's faith matters in a way that maybe it hasn't mattered, at least on the world stage, in a long time, in a really long time. As the world gets crazier, you find that worship and faith and God matter more and more. And so that's a dangerous game to play. And the content that you make, Heidi, is directly about that. That's what our show is about. And I think that maybe unsurprisingly, we're going to find in the coming days that as we go forward in time, it becomes increasingly more obvious how much of a dangerous. So my point is that it ruffles some feathers. It ruffles some feathers. So
I'm not like defending. I don't even know what he said.
No, you're good.
So I'm not saying
it was weird. You guys weren't a part of it. He took the recorded episode, like screen recorded it or something, and went through it like line by line by line by line with his significant other. It was just awkward and weird. So I welcome people to fact check me. I also love jokes. I think jokes are funny. So yeah, none of that is what offended me at all. I just didn't know what was going on. Yeah.
You've put yourself in a unique position, more so than we have, in that you have not only, do you have a strong belief in God, but you've pivoted and faced an entire community, an entire religion, which is Mormonism, and you're standing against it. Now that's a very
state.
What you've kind of done, Heidi, is you've pointed and you've identified an enemy.
Right. Yes, I did. And I live here, and it's a little more personal for me, obviously, because I'm still here and people still don't let their kids play with my kids, and people know what I do. And the church still doesn't want to excommunicate me, which is bizarre to me. I am still on their church records. I kept waiting for the day they'd chuck me out. They never did. And everybody else I know that talks crap like this gets thrown out, and I'm waiting. I wanted my day. I could have removed myself, but then you don't get your day. I wanted to tell them exactly what I thought and why.
Oh, you mean to say that they would have called you and offered you an opportunity to stand in front of their congregation and kind of state your piece?
Air your grievances.
In front of, the top level men, whoever they choose. Yeah, only men. They call a disciplinary council, and I would be disciplined, and I wanted to tell them exactly why I thought the way I thought. So
that's very similar to Jehovah's Witnesses, in that you will stand before a council of whomever.
How many is there? Are there 9?
The council of 9.
I gotta find out. Yeah, I can't remember. I was waiting. I mean, I would tell you if they would call me, but they just and that makes me even more so believe that bloodlines matter, because I work with a lot of people. LDS Abuse, he does a lot of work. Justin, he believes in the faith still, and they excommunicated him. I work with another guy. He believes in the faith still. They excommunicated him. And I'm like, I don't believe, and I'm calling you out, and I'm still waiting.
That's fascinating. That is fascinating. Okay, so you've already touched on the idea of bloodlines. Now, when we were saying before that you've identified an enemy and you're standing in front of them in the same state that they're rooted in, nonetheless, and this is a dangerous position for you to be in. Well, now it gets a layer more dangerous with the release of the Epstein Files and the DOJ. Heidi, you're one of the few people I've seen shouting about this bit of content that's inside these files. And it seems to point to, we know that Epstein was obsessed with genetics and eugenics and all these different things. And it seems that there is a major interest in Mormon blood. I don't even know how else to put this.
Mormon blood.
I've not looked at this, Heidi. I've seen you talking about it.
Well, is it just Mormon blood, or is it everyone's blood? Because I feel like they have a mountain full of stuff.
They got a mountain full of blood.
Well, they do have stuff, but they specifically reference, and so I can pull up my screen if you guys want me to
Yes,
share what
please,
I brought for
please.
you today. Yeah, I was very surprised. And the first thing I like to do when I see something wild come out is vet it, that's, obviously. And then B, I go through and I try, and it's going to be 1,000 screens for just a second.
No
I try
problem.
to see what I can find about the names that are coming up or whatever's mentioned, go from there. And I try really hard not to disinformation because I think that's important. But I also think it's important to share what we do find. And so
Yeah.
I have found some stuff and it was weird. So yeah, here's the first one. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah. Okay. I see justice.gov. So this is straight from the DOJ releases, correct?
Yep. And then so this is says at first Jeffrey was furious, but I pointed out that by staggering daughters every 8 years, he would have a supply of ripe girls at his disposal. He bought me a house and got my oldest daughter into blank, which is it's BYU, by donating $50,000 to their gender studies program. Don't forget that.
Yeah.
And paid for my youngest daughter to attend blank, and all she had to do was send him a pint of Mormon blood every week. So that's the most important piece.
That sounds like almost like a joke, right?
How'd she get it?
Well, how she got it is one thing, but this is coming from a mother who's talking about, I guess she kind of like loves Epstein, right? I have perused this entry in the DOJ files. Yeah. And this is coming from somebody who, it seems like they basically sold their daughter to Epstein. This person, if I remember the context, seems to love Jeffrey Epstein.
I saw that weirdness and I was like, what's going on here? And I'm going to flick through these really quick. But, the first thing I did was say, what other guy do I know that was really rich, associate with, rich people that were Mormons? And Howard Hughes came to my mind. So I started looking up about Howard Hughes and blood. And sure enough, the first thing pops up. And I just thought, you've got to be kidding me. But it says it's because it's during a major medical crisis. Hughes transfusions were supplied by a laboratory in Salt Lake City. This facility was run by Dr. Homer C. Clark, a clinical pathologist and one of the few doctors allowed to regularly even access Howard Hughes because he was crazy that way. But the connection is this was brothers of executives and brothers of even Bill Gay, who was very important in the Mormon Mafia. And they actually I can vet this one because they got in trouble for transferring the blood across state lines, which is a very strange thing to do. If you're having an emergency, right? Emergency.
Yeah. Then
you don't wait for blood from a state or two away. Why would you do that?
Also, my brain would go, if you got caught transferring blood, like were you driving it in your car? How many times have you done this until you got caught?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And they got caught and they got in trouble, like actually on, medical boards and whatnot. So, this is stating all these different things. And I just think it's really important when we look at this stuff to not forget we have weird people in this world that do weird things. And we're going to get more into the genetics, into other things like Dr. Cooney comes up. Well, at least Cooney, one of the emails says from one Cooney Island baby to another. That's a direct reference to these
Epstein,
cabbage babies. Cabbage babies.
Well, no, Cooney. It's a play on words as well. Is he talking to Epstein?
Yeah, they're going back and forth. It's not a Cooney that says it, but this is from the Cooney babies that they showed in the World's Fair. This was a whole display.
Mm-hmm. Oh, because he was something about Epstein that most people don't know. He was born in Seagate, Brooklyn, which is right inside of Coney Island. So Coney.
Okay.
Cooney.
And Cooney was specific. It was 2 O's for this genetics whole thing. But this even caught me. This is real. This is from CNN. The Venus Project, an invoice from researcher, mentioned 160,000 project dubbed the Venus Project, which Epstein claimed would involve 200 participants. So he fully backs this whole thing to make genetics of facial features. Okay.
Huh.
They are customizing people, and it's all over.
Okay, all
Mhm.
right. So I want to pull this back for a second because immediately my thought is, well, the Mormons are, it's like any other religion where you become Mormon, and then I suppose that within it, obviously, or else this wouldn't be being brought up right now. There is a bloodline, and I guess that is the upper echelon of Mormonism. Um,
I could show you that. Mhm.
yeah, let's get into that a little bit because that's very, I mean, why would you want the blood of Mormons?
I can explain that a little bit, I think. So this is put out, and I can't zoom it in too well. They have obfuscated this. I have looked everywhere for these pedigree charts. They used to sell them at the bookstore. And, I got this from a listener that sent it to me. You can find it on Ancestry, but it won't take a clear photo. And so this is called One Royal Line. And this is made by Archibald Bennett. And this used to be what the church would put, like, to basically state that they were royalty. And when they say they're Jews, like, people, and I don't want people getting mad at me, they say that, not me. When they say this stuff, they mean it. They don't mean it by baptism. And if you could see on here, Joseph Smith is on this, obviously. Joseph Smith Sr.
Oh yeah, I see. Is he what's underlined there?
Yep. He's tagged here. And if you could see this is the Star of David, and it says, "From this line, king shall rule." And it's all goes back to Adam. And I want people to understand how important this is to Mormons. Like, you can say it's baloney, you can say whatever you want, but when we get into the genetics pit, like, come on, they've done a lot with it. And in fact, they did studies on Mormons. 13 families from Utah. Isn't that funny? 13.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
Well,
the 12 tribes of Israel plus one.
Doesn't that really bolster that claim then? If Epstein is, I mean, it's one thing if Epstein is checking. You get a glass of Mormon blood or whatever the case may be, and I'm sure after some rigorous testing, you either put that to bed or you find that there's something compelling there, and so you keep doing it. So, Top, when you said how often are they trafficking blood, Mormon blood, across state lines, it's very unlikely that the time that you were caught was the only time that you were doing it. So it's fair to assume that this has happened a multitude of times.
And this chart, so if you can see this, how the girl did the chart about all the presidents being related?
I remember that. That was very funny. Yeah, that was
right.
Obama is related to George Bush Jr. and all this other crap. And people were like, oh, isn't that cute? The little girl did a family tree.
Well, guess what? This is why so many of these people are connected. So this right here is a Howland family chart. So Howland came over on the original Mayflower, and he has many, many descendants in America. But the first families, they call them the first families, are very important to them. To me, no, but to them, yes. And if you see, the Smith line is right here. Yes, he is related, as I am, to all the presidents, mostly. I mean, I think there's one or two that are not. So is Howard Hughes. So is a whole bunch of people as this spiders out. And it's very interesting when we look further into this, like why certain people like the Gates align. They say, oh, no, we aren't. Yes, they are. I have about 50 slides coming on a show that are going to show people exactly how the Gates are. And they'll tell you, oh, yes, we're related to, Howlands, because they want that, nod. Pilgrim Society stuff. And yeah, so this is old.
Are you making the assumption that these are the original 13 tribes?
I mean, I'm not, but they might be. No, but the ones that they did a DNA research project on, maybe. They did a full research project on Mormons in Utah, and I have the backing for that as well. And it just gets really weird. We have geneticists involved. We have people that have gotten in trouble, and we've got other people like this weirdo. Here, let me show you this guy. Sorry, I called you. He's weird. I don't care. This multi-millionaire.
Oh, dude, this guy is so weird.
Right. And he's transferring his blood from his 17-year-old son into his grandfather, and he's a Mormon.
Yeah.
So
This guy was comparing his erection to his son's erection.
Now I recognize the guy.
Oh wait, nothing says I'm creepy like this picture.
Good Lord, no.
Yeah.
Oh,
He comes up. Guess who comes up in the Epstein Files?
Oh, really? Oh, yeah. I remember hearing about this. What was his
Here is Brian Johnston. And I'm not saying he did anything wrong, Brian, but you're in there because you made a rebuttal. So, and he says, well, I just talked to him once and I didn't know. No, after Epstein was convicted, he also contacted him again. So he is aware. And continued. He continued. And he makes this rebuttal right here and states that he met him, 8 years ago, and he was so spooked and he was weird and dangerous and whatever. Look, fine. But then why did you continue to contact him after he was convicted? That is my question for you, Brian.
Yeah. Anybody that is having a working relationship with Epstein post 2008, not a good look. Not a good look.
No.
It's fair to attribute malice to that individual until proven otherwise, especially if it's some sort of a working relationship. We found out that Rupert Sheldrake was being funded by him, which was a huge bummer because that guy does some really fascinating research on the psychic phenomenon in ways that are tangible and observable just by everybody in their own everyday life. And but that dude was receiving funding from like 2015 to 2018, which is well after the first conviction, and pretty inexcusable.
It looks bad. Yeah. And this guy, I'm sorry if you're trying to get the fountain of youth, it's not working.
Yeah.
Your hair transplant is good. Maybe not. Whatever.
Oh my God, this is him over the years.
Yeah. It's not working.
That's a scary that's a fountain of demons.
He does look younger. Yeah, not in a great way.
No, he doesn't look younger. He looks more ghastly. Like he looks like an immortal sort of vampiric character.
Yes. Because facial fat is the marker for youth, usually typically.
Which is funny to deviate just for a brief second, just for the audience sake. We had that episode that we did where Jim Carrey comes up and he's got this thing where he looks like a different human being. And we said that it looked like John Malkovich playing Jim Carrey. And we didn't freak out.
Not far off.
No, not far off. We didn't freak out.
Right.
We didn't say he's been cloned or he's been murdered. We just said this looks like a different. We even joked around and said, if you were rich and you didn't want to go to a red carpet event, couldn't you just pay another celebrity to like put on a mask of you and go and do the thing? Like that would actually be kind of fun and funny. So that was our take on it. And then it turns out it was a promo for a movie that he's got coming up in 2027, where he did have a fake dude appear as him. So I just want to say, like, we do a good job of not freaking out on this show. We don't slap the clone button too often or the he's dead button too often.
Can I ask you something, Heidi? When those guys were pulled over for transporting this blood, were they headed to New Mexico?
Ooh.
They were headed to Nevada because that's where he did all of his stuff at that point. And, I do want people to understand about Howard Hughes Medical Institute and how critical they are to genetics. It says right down at the bottom, how much the medical research is important. But CRISPR, even though it's in a roundabout way because they make sure everything was originally capped here. Okay, CRISPR funding and CRISPR people, and Jack Parsons worked for Howard Hughes and all of these people, and their biomedical research. So, and then as soon as they got this done, here's the board. Okay,
it's a group of vampires.
Yes, absolutely. 100. Look at the front guy. 100%.
I know they're horrifying looking people.
100%. Yeah, it's spooky. And it says Hughes' decision would have powerful consequences when he's like changing what kind of business he has and how it's funded and whatnot. It's for biomedical research. After the establishment of the institute, a select group of advisors are the ones that took over and kicked him off his own board. They don't mention that part. I know that
when
part.
we talk about bloodlines and everything, you would imagine that obviously after we come upon it, we realize this is really significant and important. I just mean we in the sort of conspiracy theorist sense, right? The general conspiracy theory population. You come across the significance of bloodlines and you imagine, well, there has to be quite a bit of resources and manpower put into finding, isolating, sort of continuing these bloodlines, right? The research that goes into it, the preservation and all these different things. And then you look over at the Mormons and it's like, not only is there this huge claim to being of these lines, but then you look over and it's like, well, what are they doing? Mountains of DNA, right? Ancestry.com.
Yes, a literal mountain.
Like, it looks like you
literal.
go, oh, there it is. That's the effort.
Here's what gives me pause, because there's a lot going on there, right? They have the DNA and they have the DNA technology, and they also have this motive to, I guess, pin themselves as a certain type of person. On the other hand, you have the Jews, the Ashkenazi Jews that are in Israel, who won't take this stuff.
Yeah,
right.
I think it's illegal to have 23andMe unless it's like medically a medical emergency in Israel. So I don't know. What do you make of that?
Ooh, that's a great question.
Well, that there's a couple places they won't, and France as well, where they won't let these tests fly. Okay, and so there is also, a whole thing about that on here, saying we refunded your money, blah blah blah, because they won't work there. To the Saudi prince. That's interesting. But whatever the case may be, like, I just feel like they don't want to nail down those bloodlines that they think are bloodlines of the gods. We know how this plays out. I mean, your name for your actual, podcast has it in it. I mean, I don't think they went for Gilgamesh and all the things they did under Clinton for no reason,
Yeah.
there.
What I'm wondering is where does this all go? At some
everywhere.
point, once you identify that this is, let's say, the genetic lineage of these aforementioned characters, well, then you would go into preservation and propagation mode.
You go into conflict at some point, right? Like, they have to make the claim, because right now the Jews are claiming that they're the people. So are the Mormons positioning themselves to make this claim at a certain point?
Ooh.
I mean, they already have made the claim that they came here for the new Zion. That's what Utah is called. This is, they support Israel. They always have. It's in their articles of faith. And that's one of them, is that they, 100% will be supporting that. And also, the reason why Salem, which is where Joseph Smith's paternal family comes from, was named such, right? So many places here in America were named after this, and this goes to a grand conspiracy, right? Like, this goes to the grand conspiracy of Bacon. Like, honestly, and for that, I'm glad I put this in here. This slide here talks about it. Now, this I can't vet this because this is old. Okay, but I do want to go over it because, funny enough, I think it plays forward a little bit, and Dartmouth comes up and there's connections there. But John Dee is one of my great uncles, and not because my grandma told me so. It's because I've looked it up through all my tests. I did all the things, Ancestry 23. I did all that.
Me
So
too.
this says, and they're bringing up a new Rosicrucian order in these emails. Okay. Well, this states John Dee also invented or involved in the Rosicrucian order. He was a German Rosicrucian order called the Zionitic Brotherhood. Now, I know people are going to say this was debunked and whatever, but we still need to look at it, because here's some strange things. Okay. In the 1900s, what is Belgium, having existed as the Order of Zion for centuries, the headquarters in a village of Mormont, Mormont. I've double checked this. That is a place in Belgium, and it is
crazy
pronounced
because it actually said
Mormon.
it's pronounced Mormon.
And so the Melchizedek priesthood, right, with this whole 3 priories of the order named Peter, James, and John. The order was still existent in 1829 in Pennsylvania when Joseph Smith and Oliver Cowdery claimed to receive the priesthood from Peter, James, and John. That's what they said in Pennsylvania. They do say that they received the Melchizedek priesthood as a restoration movement from Peter, James, and John. So that's interesting if they're actually in this order. Okay, that is very strange. And when we get into, Holy Blood, Holy Grail, look, I know how it sounds, but the Mormons went crazy for this. And so we have to look at everything, and especially John Dee and some secret Rosicrucian papers that were supposedly smuggled onto the Mayflower. And Joseph Smith has 7 relatives on the ship of 100, where most of them didn't make it. So does his wife, by the way. They were cousins. So
Okay, wait. Let's rewind for a second. You said that the Mormons were obsessed with what? The Holy Grail?
Yes. Holy Blood, the movie, Holy Blood, Holy Grail. Yes. There's books been written about this. There's all kinds of comments constantly from the church stating, we have that blood flowing through our veins, kind of like a Trump quote weirdness. They say that Jesus went on and married 2 Marys and a Martha, and, that he birthed children. And Joseph Smith himself claimed that he was of that lineage. And they did some weird things with this. And this is where those 13 Mormon families come up, because this guy right here, his name is Hugo Perego. He was the one to go through and actually find Joseph Smith's lineage by going to each of his relatives at like family reunions and stuff and swabbing their DNA. And he has actually nailed down Joseph Smith's paternal line, which goes back to a king, and he's a Celtic king.
Is he is this guy's position pro Mormonism or
yes,
anti-Mormonism?
He's a Mormon. Oh, he's all kinds of Mormon. Let me show this picture here and he's obviously important because they let him be at this little temple thing, and he's standing right next to the picture of Moroni. And so, he's dialed in, and he comes up in other places in this, and he comes up with funding. He comes up with George Church, and George Church comes up at a place in Utah called the Alta Club, which is where the Human Genome Project was brought to life.
Wow.
And I have that slide. Yeah. As soon as they got Howard Hughes's money, they started the Human Genome Project. And the people that helped start that, let me see if I can find that. It's interesting, I'll tell you, because Howard Hughes Medical Institute is all over this. And there is so much money. People don't understand quite how much money there is with this. And Bill Gay comes up again and again, and he is the top guy that takes over Howard Hughes Medical Institute after the death of Howard Hughes. And so, and I dare say before,
they've managed to keep this under wraps. There's so many things that are pretty out in the open when it comes to conspiracy theory, and I just reminded me because she's saying Bill Gay, and it's it's one letter away from Bill Gates, and I'm
Bill Gates comes up.
Mm-hmm. Of course he does. But it's
Bill
like,
Gates and Bill Gates have a picture together.
Wow.
Want to see it? Here, hold on.
I do.
Wait on this one. I'll wait on this one.
Much about all these other things, and it's like, man, this Mormon aspect has really managed to stay pretty well obfuscated, despite how many familiar faces are associated with it and how big of an operation it is. And good God.
Oh, he looks horrible.
Yes.
That looks like the demon that was next to Lex Wexner.
Yeah. Right. His Dybbuk. It's his Dybbuk.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh. And the Gates always say, no, we're not related. We're not related. We're not related. And I'm like, yes, you are, because there is a picture of the Mack family. And I don't know if I have it on this slide. I'll find it, but it's side by side with Bill Gates. And you couldn't tell them apart. It's crazy.
It's really sad to say, but it's almost like they've done they've created they made themselves into a laughing stock on purpose in order to hide out in the open. So like that whole South Park Book of Mormon thing, the Broadway play and all that. Listen, if we're going to just dive full into conspiracy.
No, let's go. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe, if I were Mormons, I would have wanted them to do that. So that way it obscures what I'm actually doing.
Yeah. Because I almost want to say that generally speaking in the West,
even Jews don't practice some of their stuff as outright as Mormons are doing.
Well, the Jews don't have a mountain of DNA, I don't think. What are these horrifying characters?
Let's not forget, they have to tell us. You said they have to tell us, right? And American Horror Story did. She had these kids hooked up to lines in American Horror Story.
Yeah.
And they were her I don't know, her blood kids, you know. That's just the way it is. And then we got this guy coming out that he was Diddy's blood boy right here. And
Diddy's
I have
blood boy. This dude?
yes.
What?
Yep. That's real. Yep.
Man, all this stuff.
did-
Remember what was that guy's name? He was like,
So they
I was
just giving him blood. That
well, yeah,
was
yeah.
his job.
And this is what's crazy is
Yep,
remember
that
we
was
always
his
say
job.
like Joe Rogan's the new Laurel Canyon. Rogan was really introducing that idea to the public of like, oh, well, there's these really fascinating studies where they take blood from young
Mexico.
mice. Yeah, and they put them into
I have that. Yeah.
interesting. And I go, man, like now knowing what I know, I realize that Rogan, you know, you think about the John C. Lilly float tanks and the DMT and the young mice blood into the old mice, all this stuff. It feels so like a soft disclosure or like a normalization of these really high level concepts that if you knew what they ultimately amount to, you'd be horrified. You'd pull away from it. But within the context of like, well, it's about rejuvenating and we're just look at these fascinating experiments.
This is kind of what they're asking, what they're doing with the blood. So I guess what we do know on surface level is that they're kind of like putting it in themselves through intrafusion.
Yes.
So they're like spinning it, rejuvenating it, and putting it in themselves. I'm
So
sure there's a lot
vampires.
more.
So vampires.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, medically speaking, yeah. And when you say, you know, oh, they have a whole mountain of DNA, let's not forget that we're not kidding. Okay. This is a mountain that they blew out the center of that has razor wire pointing inward.
What?
Why? There's armed guards with
Inward.
semi-automatic weapons. And this is, let's see, let's go from further away. This is inaccessible to the public. This is
Look at
here in
that.
Utah. Yep.
Whoa.
This is crazy. And Bill Gay was a big part of why this happened. But why would you need this kind of level of security for files? Just
What do they
files?
think about? Because
What are you guarding from the inside is a better question.
there's a couple of questions. Yeah, that's a good one. What the heck do you
Gates.
think?
Gates. They've figured it out. I mean, I think they've figured out a lot of things. You know, we look at these Mormon people like this. This is a very
Oh no.
This is a very prominent 70s family that starts with an O's house when it got sold.
Is that a drain on the floor?
You know, I think it is. And this is just their shower room. I'm not alleging anything.
Oh, yeah.
What the
but
hell showers like that?
That's a terrifying shower. Who wants to take
It
a
looks
spooky
like-
shower?
whatever. But
It looks
look
like
at
the pool
this.
room of what's his name? The
Look at
Vanderbilt.
this table.
Yeah.
Look at this table too. This is Epstein Island. Look at this table. Does that
Yeah.
look familiar to
It's an
you?
altar. It's a
Like the last-
sacrificial altar.
And it's that kind of material that you could wipe easily. And people are going to say, well, it's tropical. Look, I'm just saying he has a shower room too. And I have a photo of that.
Anybody
It's
who's saying
very
who's like
weird.
giving a plausible deniability for a giant stone table like that on Epstein
Well,
Island
no, this
is
was
like
there were emails to Epstein's contractor. Remember the guy Gary or some shit?
It was a Gary.
He's like, Gary, we need stuff that wipes clean.
Yeah, we needed to be able to like I want to be able to power wash it, not lose material when the power washer hits it, but also it's got to come off easy.
Yeah.
Man.
Why? Like, but why? Yeah.
Oh,
and
it's
we
just-
get into that, but why? And it's kind of terrifying. And I mean, I even have a video of the boy, the son of the guy, which by the way, to transfuse this kid for his
Yeah.
grandpa at 17 is illegal. I don't care if your parent says that's okay or not. That's still illegal, you know? And so, I mean, you know, whatever the courts want to do with that and allegedly, but I'm just saying I would think that wouldn't be something
Jeez.
you could do.
I don't
So-
like this guy. This guy, Brian Johnson, is a rough looking character. By the way, I think Heidi, you actually posted some more of the conversation from that woman who happened to love Epstein, and this is going to be a little bit of a rough
Yes.
listen for the audience, but this comes straight from your Twitter page, which I highly recommend people go and find you at Unfiltered Rise on Twitter. It's a file from the DOJ drops.
By
It
the
says-
way, Heidi, you're fucking crushing.
oh
Like,
yeah,
Aw,
yeah,
thanks.
absolutely crushing. It's cool
Yeah.
to see you.
We've been watching you from afar, and I just saw you were doing some IRL stuff too. I'm like, it's really cool to see the people that like. I don't know if we started at the same time, but we were kind of all at the same level
Yes.
for a little while, and
Yes.
everyone is kind of doing their own thing in their own spheres, but like really taking steps forward, and it's encouraging to see.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Thank
Um,
you guys. Yeah, it's cool.
So she says, still, I wanted more from this is the woman who loves Jeffrey Epstein, by the way. Still, I wanted more from Jeffrey, and he was often distant and dismissive of me and my feminine charms. One night, as the sun set over Little St. James Island, I stood in the room where Jeffrey had just received a therapeutic massage from one of my daughter's friends. The room was covered. This is gross, guys. Covered in a genius's seed, which was going to waste. I had an inspiration and asked the chef to bring me an extra large turkey baster. It's a lot of seed. And in a beautiful fertility ritual, created my youngest daughter, blank.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, this is like, I mean, this guy on one end is a evil sort of mastermind eugenicist, child sacrificer, Moloch worshiping piece of crap. And on the other end, there's some woman, just reminds you of like women that fall in love with guys in prison.
Well, it reminds you of like Lucifer, like probably just extremely charming.
Yeah,
dude.
I guess so.
I guess Nick Fuentes got into some trouble. He's like, oh, he had drip or something like that.
He said that he had aura.
Aura. He does.
I guess so. You know what's really
It's just the
crazy?
devil.
Watching the overlap. Somebody laid over the black phone character over Epstein's face, and it was like you could drag the slide to make either image vanish. And the way they bled into each other's faces perfectly, I was a little hesitant to buy into that he looks just like the black phone character. Like I could see it, but not to the level that I saw it when they put that comparison. I was like, oh my God, it almost seems like another one of those instances right in your face.
Well, and there's something not in our face. And this I bring up with the Dybbuk to let people remember that they said this, okay, about Lex Wexner, because Les Wexner is going to come up again, but not with who you might think. You know, people have forgotten over time, and I'm sure they're super grateful that they have, the fact that this isn't the first time that this has happened with an island and Mormons. So, yeah, it's tempting to look for a Clinton-related conspiracy in the Epstein affair, but by such thinking doesn't bear much scrutiny. Yes, Bill Clinton was a frequent flyer on the Lolita Express, but Epstein's mentor, Wexner, is a close friend of George W. Bush. Don't forget, he's related to the Howlands, who are related directly to the Mormons through that line I showed you. And so is Howard Hughes. And so remember that as we go forward. And they visited Jerusalem together, who supported the Iraq war and raised money for Mitt Romney. Epstein's plea deal, meanwhile, was negotiated on his behalf by Ken Starr, the moral Puritan best known for the Starr Report and Monica Lewinsky scandal. Man. Look, they're doing things for Romney. Now, maybe you could just say, yeah, that's not my fault. He's a bad guy and we took his money. Okay, but we need to talk about his dad, because if we're going to talk about Romneys, we need to talk about a different island, and that is Mackinac Island. And it was the Epstein Island of its time. So if you've heard of this story by Kathy O'Brien, the SRA victim, she is stating that Romney's father, George Romney, was the one that used her in Black Ops and peace stuff, while he's Mitt Romney's dad. And he also is not a citizen of America. He has he probably is now, but he wasn't born here. He has dual citizenship in Mexico, where they run cartels and breakoffs, very interesting breakoffs called the Church of the Lamb of God. And, there's some very interesting things with this. But yeah, so this Romney stuff, she states all of this. Not only that, but let's also remember that Mrs. George Romney of Michigan, Governor George Romney, was on the National Advisory Board from 66 to 67, the year that Epstein attended Interlochen. And so all of this is together. And I have checked these photos. They are real. It checks out. Yes.
With Playboy heiress Christine Hefner.
Yep.
So
Yep.
Hefner's wife or Hefner's daughter?
I think it's his daughter.
Okay,
Isn't
so
It's interesting. On Merkel's one of his latest shows, there was a woman there that was a Playboy bunny that had been trafficked afterward by Epstein, and she did her best to differentiate Hugh Hefner from Epstein's his whereabouts and operations. Yeah. almost painting Hefner as like a good guy that was just addicted to like regular sex.
I
and this
mean,
other guy,
but then-
maybe.
But the
Maybe,
stories
I don't know.
that come out of there about the trafficking and even the tunnels beneath Hefner, it's almost a 1-to-1 in its operation.
Tunnels.
It's there's
They
a
were asked
blackmail
about the tunnels.
operation. Yeah, there's tunnels. They're doing sexual blackmail for all these elites and everything. I mean, they're facilitating sexual encounters with these beautiful women to buy the favor of all of the, like, it's a 1-to-1 comparison. It's just absent of like a Moloch statue or something. Like, I don't know how you would try to separate. Yeah, whatever the case
It
may
was
be.
just bizarre. Like we were
Yeah.
looking at this situation where she was defending this so hard because she wanted Hefner to almost seem like a guy that was just kind of addicted
He's
to
a
sex.
good
but
guy.
The good guy. And I'm just like, no, what a crazy scenario, because both of these entities are evil.
Oh yeah,
in their
you
own
almost have to
separate
give
way.
it to Hefner in his ability to become beloved, an American novelty.
Mhm.
That the entire populace is not only aware of, but also sort of champions and celebrates. For a long, long time.
Isn't that Joseph Smith in a nutshell?
Yeah,
He
I guess
ran the
it
girls.
is.
People loved him. They talked about how handsome he was. They talked about how charming he was. I mean,
Let me ask you this, Heidi. Do you think that, given the idea of like generational iniquity, and we've become pretty comfortable on this show with the idea that some of these entities, these ancient entities, might have greater access to somebody of a particular genealogy or bloodline, and then given Joseph Smith's alleged interactions with, all these entities and these supernatural occurrences, do you think that there's room for him having actually experienced these things, not deceived anyone? Obviously the nature of the interactions could be deceptive, but it doesn't mean that he didn't actually have interactions. And could that have been facilitated by the idea that he is of these bloodlines?
I mean, if you are doing magic in any form and asking things to inhabit you, or doing ceremonies, that's the whole reason why the LDS people do a ceremony. Because if it didn't mean anything, why would you do it? It has to mean something, right? Because if it doesn't mean anything, then it would have stopped a long time ago. Same thing for magic. Like, why would you keep doing something that, is that way? So that doesn't make any sense. And with a lot of this stuff, like, we know it pierces veils because who told us? Parsons tells us, Steiner told us, all these people talk about this. And so that's why I bring, the proposal that I think it's Typhonian magic. I think it's older than that, but that's what we're going to call it because, that's who labeled it, They do certain things in the temple and hold their hands certain ways. And it just resembles that to me. And do I think every Mormon does that? No way. No way. I think this is for the top level people only. That's it. Like, there's no other way to put that,
It's the same thing
And
for Freemasonry, right? I mean, there are people that are in there because it's a social club, and maybe you could do a little networking. You might become buddies with a guy who's a plumber and a little bit about carpentry, and you can kind of skill share, and you work on my deck, I'll buy some beers. Next time I'll work on your plumbing and you buy some beers type of deal. But at the highest levels, there's something obviously much more nefarious going on. It's
100%.
I wonder,
this is nefarious. Even Romney, look at this.
Yeah.
Like Bain Capital. Bain Capital is attached to who? Robert Maxwell. Tell me again how you don't think that's connected. Bullshit. It's bullshit. And he was among the early investors for Romney. This is the son Romney. So Mitt. Okay. Romney had already established himself in business through BCCI. People can check this all out. I have this all noted and everything. But Robert Maxwell died before his daughter began working with Epstein. So then it kind of went away from evidence wise. Like, we don't have that, but we know that he was connected. And what happens to BCCI? It gets shut down because they're doing low level, basic corruption. And it got Bill Gay, the guy I told you ran, Howard Hughes's empire, his son kicked out of the Quorum of the 70, which just doesn't happen. That doesn't just happen. So you have to do something pretty egregious to have that occur. So I just think that people need to look at how old this is. And when I talk about this stuff, we have to look at all the branches, because part of the Mormon church is that it splintered when Joseph Smith died. But Joseph Smith was doing some really weird stuff before, and he was studying Hebrew, even though he couldn't read English. Like, what? Why would you do that? That's weird. And so he was studying Hebrew with this very important guy. And this guy is one of the top Jewish people that came here to America with the last name Seixas, one of the few people at Washington's inauguration. And he also gave one of the first ever Thanksgiving prayer. And he was that influential. Why does the dumb farmer boy have anything to do with the big wig son? He's learning Hebrew from him. And anytime we get into this weird shit like School of the Prophets and all of this stuff, okay, that I'm telling you, because this is what it is. It's this blood fallen church narrative, radical fundamentalist or fundies, they'll call them. But it is that they've entered into secret combinations with the government and the master Mahon path, which is like Cain,
This is an adherence to basically, it's the same thing, right? Law and genetics, not saved by grace, not grafted onto the vine. This is a focus on, like you said, radical fundamentalism and and
save yourself. You're going to be a god. Yeah, it's all
that's weird. Yeah.
And this guy, he went on to do these really weird. This is just one of them. This Crossfield, or he went by Onias because he was the prophet Onias. He was one of the few that went and settled in Parowan, and he started doing it again. And so when we get this splinter group, and you hear LDS Church of Satan, which we will see, it comes up in the whole thing with the Pace memo and all of this old SRA. It's SRA abuse, but their testimonies are identical all the way down. So it says that they did this because they were an inner Rosicrucian council. Again, we're hearing this. The smuggled papers of John Dee, the Church of the Firstborn, claims that if you seal the firstborn in blood, you'll get baby resurrection and the rest of your kids will be protected. And funny enough, Joseph Smith's first kid died right after it was born. That's weird.
That's a sacrifice of the firstborn kind of a deal.
Yep, exactly. And that's why they call the church the church of the firstborn.
We actually have Nathaniel Gillis coming on at 4:00 today.
Awesome. Yes, and he's great.
So that I have a really sneaking suspicion that we're going to get into some of that kind of necromancy stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. These guardian spirits, like I dare say, that's what they're doing. They're channeling, when we go to the temple, we get a new name. When we go to the temple, all these things happen that you're performing necromancy after the first one. And the first one, you get a new name, and it's, for time and all eternity. That's not what the Bible says. That's not... We aren't supposed to be married for time and all eternity. We aren't supposed to do a lot of these things. It's not biblical. And so where did they get that information? It's ancient. This is Cathar stuff. This is old.
Let me ask you, Heidi, as we move towards this, everything's getting really weird. You have this, the Epstein Files are released, and now we have war with Iran, and everybody's, tired of hearing that already. It's what's completely, infiltrated all social media platforms. It's just this war with Iran situation.
Yes.
And then of course we have whatever's going on with disclosure, which seems to be, we're edging ever closer to it. And I am looking at this, I called this on Twitter, and I think it was, some people were like, wow, I can't believe you called this, but I think it was kind of low hanging fruit. But I said, after the DOJ files were released, that we're going to look out for one of three things, or a mixture of them. We're going to see either the collapse of the dollar, we're going to see Iran versus Israel, or we're going to see alien disclosure. And right now, obviously, disclosure and Iran versus Israel are looking real good. The reason I called that
is the collapse of the dollar, to be honest.
Sure. And the reason that I called that is because I always looked at the Epstein Files as they would use it as a plot device, and it would only be revealed to the public when it was ready. We're ready for the next scene. But I think that scene was a big shakeup, of we're moving players into positions of power that have been weighted, and they've been in position to take that spot. And that's going to be a big shakeup. There's going to be wars and all kinds of things like that. I never stopped and considered what Mormonism would be doing during this time. And I think that's a fair question to ask. It's like you guys have a mountain of DNA. You think that you're, of the 13 tribes, there's so much going on. I cannot imagine that they haven't either foreseen this time that we're in now or played a massive instrumental role in, moving the pieces around the world stage for this time. And I can't help but wonder, what's their play? What are they doing next?
And I do have I don't know if this is going to segue what you had planned, Heidi, but we've been going at it with some fake archaeologists about the nature of aliens.
I saw your memes.
Yeah, sorry.
It's been fun. It's been exciting.
It was pretty funny.
Oh, you liked it.
I liked the gay Indiana Jones.
Okay.
I don't know why. I have no idea why he thought that was about him.
David was just trying to do regular Indiana Jones.
I loved your outfit.
Came off as gay Indiana Jones.
What? I loved it. Yeah, I thought you were honoring him.
That's it. Yeah, he dresses really cool.
So, is there? I mean, because this Mormonism stuff is all kind of aimed in the same direction. Is there any overlap with the alien phenomenon or disclosure as we know it right now, and what Mormons are doing? Because it seems like they're kind of intertwined with the occult, with some sort of like demonic powers, or at least some ancient gods that are aligning to do something.
I would almost say, Heidi, they have to be, right? Because they're doing, they're at the core of the alien thing, there's a hybridization.
Well, I'm just saying we might be wrong.
Well,
it's true. Yeah.
No. Look at the hands. Okay, here. This is real. This isn't a reenactment. See the little line?
What are they doing?
They're at a temple ceremony, and they are doing the true order of prayer. Okay, let me show you something. Are they doing that? Because I think they are.
It looks a lot like they're doing that.
With the thumb out. Yeah, I can say that I did it, and I know that you do that. And when we're talking about this true order of prayer and Typhonian, and they're even showing you that, they're doing this.
Do they wear a bag on their head? They wear bags.
No, it's he. I think that's just an ugly guy. But the women
got a lumpy head.
The women they used to wear veils because we weren't good enough.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I
but
see.
now they don't. I mean, it's all changed. But like this is a better example here. There we go. That's real. This is real.
Find, Heidi, that within the Mormon church, they're changing things so that they can increase 100%. Their membership?
Yeah. I think they want to increase their membership, but they don't want to increase the real true knowledge. So what they've done with the temple ceremony is it used to be 2 hours, and it was like, just like Masonry, you had to memorize things, and it was really important, all this stuff. Well, now they just rush them through and they give them cue cards. That's because all their positions are, in my opinion, filled up. They don't need any more special people. You're not going to be special enough anyway. This is about the elites, and the elites align. People forget that the Mormon church is interlocked with the Catholic Church. The Mormon church is interlocked with many other churches through philanthropy, but specifically through God's banker, through Aristotle Onassis's banker. And all of this is linked. When we look at David M. Kennedy, which I almost threw those slides in here, but I didn't. He was best friends with Sindona, Michelle Sindona. Do you know who I'm talking about?
I don't know Michelle Sindona.
Sindona. He's God's banker. So he did all the banking for the Pope, and also was besties with, Mormons, David M. Kennedy. So, and he was very influential. He wasn't just some guy. We're talking about the money of the church here, and it gets really wild, and when we're talking about these files, I mean, this is one hallway.
What?
This is one hallway.
What is, wait, files? What files?
This is the not DNA. I can't say that, but I will tell you that they do have that, and I'll show you why and how. But this is supposedly the genealogy files.
Whoa.
One hall. And if you think you're not in there because you were never a Mormon, you're in there. I promise.
By the way, the reason that I asked is because I see the same thing within Jehovah's Witnesses. My wife is an ex-Jehovah's Witness, and my wife. And and she says, like, as time goes forward, they become more and more lenient with like dress code and appearances and things like this, where they used to be really strict. Yeah, they're just trying to get people in. So it's a numbers game, but you're right. At the top of it, it's like there's coveted information. The average person's not going to be privy to this. So they just need the numbers to gain the influence. But they believe kind of, that they are the 144,000. So it's like, how many slots could you possibly have?
So do the Mormons. Yeah.
Oh, fascinating.
Yeah, you're not going to
Man.
heaven if you don't have the top rights done either. If you're just a regular Mormon and you didn't go through the temple, you're not going. You're not going. They used to
Wow.
tell us. And they used to tell us too that their Jesus isn't Christians' Jesus either. So
wait. So what did they think of Jesus? I mean, how did they define?
Jesus is born of God, a man who was making Jesus, who is a man, and we can become like him someday because yeah, we're going to be gods. And so this gets back to why I bring this up is the whole alien thing, but I don't think that. I do think they are nefarious spirits. Like, and I do think they're channeling them into people. And I do think that. And I mean, there's just too much on the ceremonies and they're not doing this as hard anymore. So that tells me if you're rushing through it and you're not doing it correctly, do you already have those that you chose?
Yeah.
And their bloodlines because you know who they are, because I'm going to show you a study that proves it. And so,
Awesome.
and nobody talks about that, but this just shows you how in bed, you know, the Bushes, and this is an old prophet of the church, like he's dead now, but prophet Thomas S. Monson, and look at them, you know, they're brothers literally related through the Howland line. Like these people, that pilgrim lineage, and they will tell you those first families are so important. And I just don't think people want to know, like people that come at me and they're like, oh, you know, you're a liar, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, well, did you read the part where they made coffin canes out of the disgusting wood that they were rotting in? And then they dug them up and made these canes out of their bloody, grody DNA coffins and then put their hair in the knob. Like, did you get to that part, people? Like,
what? Hold on. Bring that up top. This
here,
is
let me go to the next one.
the knob.
Here.
Wow, the coffin cane. This wooden cane has hair embedded in the knob, which is reported to be the braided locks of Joseph and Hiram Smith. This cane is also said to have been made from the wood of the coffins holding the Smith brothers before they were removed to their fire. I mean, this is necromancy, right? That's what this is.
This is the church museum. This is at the church museum.
Whoa.
That's crazy, man.
I mean,
Like, I didn't make this
think
up.
about this. When
Yeah.
you watch Harry Potter and they go, this wand is made from this and it's got unicorn hair in it. Like that's, and they're like, okay, yeah, that's magic. But when the Mormon church does it, it's not magic. What?
Well,
I mean,
sometimes they don't have a wand. Sometimes they have a staff, right? Like
correct.
this one.
Yes.
Joseph
Oh, here,
Smith's
you bring this
serpent
one up?
cane. Yeah.
Wow. He had
I mean,
a serpent cane.
And here's the back of it.
Like Moses.
Like Moses, right? Oh, and it's
Yep.
got a
What is that?
seal. Looks like a
Yep.
royal seal or a crest, like a family crest.
With an upside down cross and Joseph Smith's
Oh.
initials. Sure.
Fantastic.
Yeah. The
That's not
eyes
alarming.
in the sky. Yeah. 3 eyes. They don't believe that God and Jesus are one person. It's 3 people. It's Jesus is separate from God, which is separate from the Holy Ghost. So
Right. This is very similar to I actually saw Jay Dyer arguing with dang, what was his name? It's a dude from InfoWars. I forget.
Harrison Smith.
Not Harrison, there's another guy. There's one other
The
guy.
guy with the beard.
No, he's a younger dude. I conflate him with Harrison Smith a lot. But a Chase Geyser.
Oh yeah, we know Chase.
Yeah. So Chase goes to, you know, he's a Freemason, and I imagine he's just at the level like he doesn't understand what the hell.
Chase is a weird dude.
And he's like, look, you know, Jay Dyer is saying anything that has a supreme being, like a solo individual supreme being, is inherently denying Jesus Christ and the Trinity, because you can't just have this one entity that is the supreme being that doesn't have like this third aspect or these 3 aspects, the Holy Ghost and Jesus Christ. And, you know, he struggled with that. And then Chase said, well, then does that mean that AA is actually leading people away from Christ? Because, and basically the answer was like, yeah, they're doing
well,
it
it was
too.
set up by nefarious people.
Right.
So.
Yeah. The origins of AA are a shady thing too. And
the
so
origins of Chase guy. I like Chase, but like his origins are fucking
he
weird.
seems cool.
I've told him to his face. Like I've seen him come out of nowhere. I've seen him do interviews with Steve Bannon, get 12 views, and then all of a sudden it's just very strange.
Well, you know, I say this a lot about people in our space where like I don't get too hung up on the who's a Fed, who's not a Fed. some of my favorite people are feds. Alex Jones is a very entertaining individual. He's very fun to watch. And is he likely,
Oh my
I mean, he says
gosh.
outright that his family is.
Well, he hired Chase, guys. This is what I'm getting at.
I
But
did.
it's fine.
worse,
It's
Wow.
fine. It's just weird.
That's
It's just
funny.
weird to me.
That's
Very
funny.
weird. Guys
Yeah.
are moving weird.
And we know the feds have infiltrated definitely the Mormon church. Like, I mean, it's crazy to me that they still say, like, you brought up entities. Okay, so I come back to Moroni. They still say he's an angel, but how's he an angel if he's a dead guy? And how is he an angel if he was summoned here in a quarter moon ritual, which he was? So for years he was. And so when we talk about entities and your HGA and your, do you know what I'm talking about? Holy Guardian Angel stuff.
I'm actually not familiar with it. Can you unpack that a little bit?
Okay, so your HGA is like your holy guardian angel that you align with. And I truly believe this is what Joseph Smith feels that he found. Do I think that he might be off? For sure, but when we talk about the sacred mage and the Abramelin and all this, this is what Crowley was doing too. He said his was Cagliostro, if you remember right, that he was reincarnated. So Moroni, the problem I have with Moroni is that Moroni is the guy on top of every temple, very Masonic, blowing his horn. But the problem with him is he cannot be an angel because he lived, he was alive, and he said so. So that makes him a spirit. And whenever we talk about spirits, I'm always going back to John Dee, because John Dee will tell you they're liars. They're liars.
Yes. This is my thing right now, where it's all of the alien stuff.
Let me just say, I was in a space yesterday with Tupa Cabra.
Oh, were you?
Yeah, just really quick, because they were touching on this exact subject. So I came in, and that guy Bruce Fenton was in there. I don't even really know what
Bruce Fenton. Not familiar with him.
Yeah, this dude here. I don't know. Apparently, he's been on some like TV shows or something like that. We'll pull him up.
Oh, this guy's a little bit weird. Yeah, he said some silly shit, and I made fun of him.
He's a retard. And it's not. I guess I mean that actually against him. He's retarded. So he worked for the History Channel, Science Channel, and Forbes.
Oh, that makes sense. I mean, if you work for the History Channel,
that was his exact argument. After I laid out the history, like the brief history of what spiritual entities are, what they might be, where they come from. He goes, yeah, but sometimes the demon wouldn't tell you a lie. Like, the demon would only tell you a lie. It wouldn't tell you the truth. It wouldn't comfort you. And I was like, that's exactly what it would do.
Are you kidding me? What a reductive, naive idea is that?
And I was like, I should rebut that, but I'm like, it's too stupid to even rebut.
Yeah.
It's like,
if I am capable of lying to you by telling you some truths and comforting you, wouldn't an ancient entity that is pitted against humanity be
the entire premise of that guy showing up? That guy talking after I spoke was because I called him an asshole on Twitter. I planted a seed on Twitter.
Yeah.
You took it to heart, showed up. It's like, so you don't think that an ancient entity would do the same thing?
That's
like,
hilarious.
I did it to you just now.
I did it to you, and look where you
I
summoned you.
Yeah. And when we talk about this summoning stuff, like in the Smith family, people always talk about, the Smiths, and they came from Palmyra, New York. No, they didn't. They came from Salem, Massachusetts.
Wow.
His father, and I'll show you that in 1 second. But this again shows, because not only did Joseph Smith's oldest son die, and it was a baby death, and it was born so deformed that it couldn't live, and they named it his dead brother's name, because his brother died when he starts doing all this angel chitty chat. His brother, the oldest son as well, dies of an accidental overdose. So, and then they dug him up, and then they ran it in the newspaper 6 times.
This seems like they had they were big fans of necromancy and anything adjacent.
Celts. Yeah, he's from a Celtic king's line. I mean, I think they knew a lot of stuff, to be quite frank. And I mean, that's fine. You know what? I always tell people, they get pissed at me for this. You want to go do whatever you want to do, go do that. But also, that's on you. I'm just trying to help the people that want help. I can't do anything about that. But this is Joseph Smith's senior's grandpa. And so this is in Salem, Massachusetts. Let me go back. He was born in Massachusetts Bay Colony in 1666. That's an interesting year with
Oh, yeah, geez, come on, man.
Lorianic. But Massachusetts Bay, anyway, it talks about that he was a selectman there, but the weird thing is that they always hid this line, and the Mormons are super patriotic. And I'm like, why would they hide this line? Well, here's from the Salem Society. It's because he helped kill a lady, and he basically signs that he had spectral evidence against her because her shadow person, I don't even know what to call it, her ghost, pushed him in the middle of the night. So he signs this whole thing about it. And, they go in and this lady is hung, funny enough, on the day that Joseph Smith gets those plates 100 and something years after. That's a little weird.
Wait. On the day
she was
100 years before Joseph Smith gets the tablets.
Yep. Same day. Yep.
It's just too much.
See, this is what I'm talking. Like today, we're supposed to be. It's like we have a blood moon tomorrow on March 3rd at 3:33 in the morning, and my reaction to that is like dismissive wanking gesture, because that's not how. Look, it's a fascinating thing, but I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what to make. I don't like giving those things power, because the only people that give those
magic,
exactly the people that give that power are the ones that are, number one, attributing grotesque amount of power to Satan and his his minions. And the other side of it, the people that are fascinated by it are the ones that are hoping to achieve something on that morning at 3:33. And it's just like, I look at it and I go, I don't. It's not that I don't care, but
right.
It's just,
but it's probably not even the correct calendar, to be quite frank.
Yeah.
Let's be realistic. But when we go through this stuff, these people did know. These people knew magic and not folk magic. That's what the Mormons are going to tell you. This is folk magic. No, this is blood magic. And blood magic, this is Solomonic magic. And I can prove that too. But when we talk about these people, they went on, just so people could check this out. After this whole situation happened, they were already engaged. Do you know about the Salem witch trials, about the Gould family, Gould? Have you studied it a little? So they're like the major players in this whole situation with the Salem witchcraft trials. Well, they were married to the Smiths at this time, and they go on to be married to the Smiths for 6 more generations after this. You want to say lock down a secret? Like,
right.
They're doing that on purpose. And these certain families are marrying specifically from that Howland line. Okay. And see, if you look down here, September 22nd, 1692, September 22nd, he goes on the 21st, and then it changes in the middle of the night, because it's all in the middle of the night. Sounds super Christian.
Oh, this is the woman that he won a trial against for what did he do to her because of her shadow person?
She pushed him in his mind, and so they hung her, and he was the one to sign the petition that said, she did that to me. And
they really were doing it loose, huh? Back in the day.
Oh, I think that she knew. I think that she knew. You know what? I think the people that got hung and whatnot then were the people that were innocent, and they were like, I'm going to tell your crap, and then you're going to be in trouble. And
oh man, imagine that, right? So the Salem witch trials are actually a direct inversion. The witches didn't get hung. The witches pulled the tricks and got the other people hung.
Everything's an inversion with these people, and that is part of the big problem, because these people, when we get into it, I'm going to say that I truly believe they've been infiltrated by Lorianic Kabbalah. And so, do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't. You're just using a bunch of, I like to think sometimes that I know a little bit of something until Heidi comes on the show, and then I'm like, I don't know shit.
No, I just am always in a book. But Sabbatai, you know about Sabbatai Sevi, right?
That's a familiar name. Yeah.
That's it. That's the Lorianic Kabbalah heresy of the Jewish people, and actually the Mormons are involved.
A branch of the same thing that at its root is like the Sephiroth. Like, it's all the same crap. It's just like, I noticed that they kind of give it different names. Like, we were looking at something the other day, and it was the Kabbalistic tree is the same exact thing as the Sephiroth. Like, but there's another.
It's inverted.
Yeah, but there's another belief system that has it, and it's like Jacob's ladder. It's the same thing as Jacob's ladder within Freemasonry, and so it's all the same shit. They just continually give it a different name.
Oh, absolutely, they do. And when we look at this stuff, okay, so Plato, they also involve like these old teachings, like Plato's School of the
Yeah.
Apostles. Okay, there's a different thing called in Mormonism the School of the Prophets. Okay, but everybody that reads this School of the Prophets stuff goes batshit crazy. They go batshit crazy, and so when we look at this and we're looking at, blood magic with them, slitting throats of dogs with sacred magical knives and all kinds of weird stuff and Jupiter talismans. And that's why I know it's Solomonic magic, because if you look at his talisman, it leads us directly back to the Magus, because there's actually an imperfection in the Magus on this particular drawing. And that's why. But, we talk about Lori Vallow. She killed her kids. I mean, they buried them in the front yard and she was obsessed with blue eyes, just like we see all over Epstein's shit.
Yep.
And she's talking about how her kids are happier now and she did them a favor, and they had a whole zombie rating system and her kids were zombies. They had to go. They were infiltrated.
I'm looking at this Jupiter talisman.
I have a picture too. I can.
Okay, great. If you could bring that up, because this is very obviously Solomonistic
100%
magic. I mean, there's no way around it.
Somebody got pissed at me and was like, "You stole my info." And I'm like, "Bro, all I did was put this in reverse lookup and it came up. I'm not
Also, I
messing
mean,
with you."
what's the
Heidi?
It
do
was
you
a
understand?
book.
Do you
Yeah.
understand now why we had to, like, after you showed us all this stuff? I
Yeah,
just
it's
got to hear the
bad.
other side, because this is horrific.
But it's like
And-
having her back on the second time. Like, oh, you mean all of this stuff plugs into everything we already know?
I know, yeah. Which is why like, even when we get the Epstein files, I'm like, why are you telling me all this? Because it's what we've been saying, and I'm like, I need to go back and relook at this, because
I think it's a mess with people. It's going to break a lot of people. They can't imagine in their minds that, because this happened to my kid. Okay. He's like, I've been telling everybody about this since I was really young, and now it's right there in black and white. And what am I supposed to do with that? And we can't do anything. And it just makes people feel even more powerless.
That's interesting. How is he? Because that's very much the same place that I've been. Where I'm not upset about it.
How old's your kid? And he's into this stuff?
He is 25. Yeah,
25.
he's 25, and he's always been into conspiracy stuff. But then he went into psychosis because he did too much. He's open about this. So he did too many mushrooms with pot. And there are some people genetically that if you do that a certain amount of times, you're unlucky. And he went into psychosis for a year, and he was battling demons. And I mean, he completely wasn't, it was so bad that he wasn't changing. He wasn't showering. We had to put him in patient psych. It was really bad. So
well,
what's he doing now?
Yeah, he's okay now, but he struggles a lot. And, he still has like almost like acid effects of things, like where things will ripple, kind of like Alice in Wonderland syndrome. And we've kind of gone back and forth about whether or not I think that's what it is. But, he's got 2 little boys now, and I'm a grandma, and he's focusing on them. So
good.
Good, man.
He's on music.
For your son.
Yeah. Check out his music, Balduvian Bears. If you like The Cure, you'll like it. Yeah.
Nice. There you go. Balduvian Bears. I'm gonna check them out after the show. It's weird because, you would think that people from the outside looking in, if like a conspiracy theorist friend, you might think like this is a season of vindication. It's actually much more a season of confusion if you're not rooted in the Lord. Like I routinely turn back to God, and it's just like whatever feelings of confusion that I have, I put them on God, and it's just like whatever, there's a plan already. And this is just playing out in the way that it's supposed to play out. But if you look at it too analytically, you do kind of get filled with this spirit of confusion, because it's like what should be vindication instead is just like, why? Why is this thing? Why am I right? Number one, like that's a kind of a weird thing, because I'm a high school dropout. Why am I right about the nature of the way that the world works?
Yeah, like it's so crazy that you're like, what? No way.
Yeah.
It's also, we've seen the example of people that they become validated or vindicated in a way of their talking points, and it's like, great, now it's confirmed, and they move on. And it's like, well, if that's wrong, now your entire premise falls apart. And then that's an entry to psychosis. So whenever I get introduced to like, hey man, you've been right the entire time, I go back and I go, thanks. Let me take a step back and reevaluate, just to make sure and really really dot my I's and cross my T's, make sure all this stuff is legit. Because if it's not, then I'm going to have to deal with that, like that ego crashing later.
In particular, the thing that at least it's like they're exposing things that are making us look like we're correct. But as we sit on the precipice of disclosure, the thing that I'm really happy about is it seems like everything is pointing towards the research that has to do with frequency-based technologies, channeling entities through
Through
drug usage, through ritual, through sacrifice, all these things, and the origin specifically of these like alien entities as they've been channeled in the past. And we talked it on a previous show. Even Aleister Crowley says what was once achieved by way of channeling drug-induced states and ritual will eventually be achieved by technology. And I think that that is a bit of information that I'm grateful that God allowed me to see, because it really is important how you frame these things that are going to come to pass. These entities are the same entities that they used to channel, and they're not. These are spiritual beings. Whether you're going to see physical craft or physical bodies or biologics, I'm not too sure what to make of those. I got a lot of theories about them, but I know that the nature of them and the spirit that dwells within them, or the spirit that controls them, the things that they're aligned with, are the very same things that they've been channeling for a long time. And I think a lot of people are going to miss the idea that these people have been sacrificing, whether it's, Molech or whatever, to these creatures. And as we get this big revelation on one hand that they actually are satanic pedophiles that sacrifice and worship and all this other crap, people are going to miss the point that many of these entities that we're going to be exposed to are the things that they were sacrificing and worshiping too. So, I'm grateful.
Well,
for
this
that.
will tell you. This will tell people, at least the Mormons, and people get mad at me because they're like, "Well, what's your point of all this evil? God already is going to win." Like, look, if you don't know, it is easy to be deceived. I didn't know, and I was deceived. And what happened to me? I go and do weirdo rituals in a temple ceremony. That's what I'm trying to save people from. Like, I don't hate the Mormons. I want to help the Mormons. And anybody else that's involved in something similar. Like you said, Jehovah's Witnesses and stuff may be similar or whatever. Like, if this will help somebody, it's not like I one day woke up and was thinking to myself, oh, let's just embarrass myself on the internet and have to learn computers and all this stuff just because, Why
don't I make an enemy of maybe the most powerful religious organization in the state that I currently live in? Yeah. Not on the list of priorities.
Yeah. This is not my idea. This was a God thing, and I'll always stand by it. And if, the persecution that comes with it is great. Like, it's not fun. It's really not. But
yeah,
I mean, I've had some fun doing this. I've met some great people. I've got to do research. I've become better at things, but I don't think this was an ego development thing. If anything, it's the reverse of that. But, I was in a really low place when I started really praying, like for real. And this happened, and I'm like, this is nuts. And people can laugh at it all day long, but I know what I'm called to do. And if I'm the Micaiah and Kings of my time, then that's what I am, in the Bible.
Well, there is a silver lining where it's like if you're aware of these things for any extended period of time, you would find that talking about them is isolating. But in this capacity, we get to, we spend it, daily, and you do too, right, Heidi, where it's like you get to sit with somebody, and whether it's on a screen or in real life, and talk a similar language to somebody who's not going to laugh you out of the room, who actually goes, oh, you've got a fascinating piece of the puzzle. See how this one that I've been carrying around fits with what you think. And that's refreshing. I didn't have that for a long time. And so podcasting has been fantastic for that.
I did at first, and then it got weird, and then hopefully it will come back around. But I think for women, it's a little bit different, because I think the first thing men think of women in podcasting is, especially this type, not like murder or self-help or whatever. Right. Yeah. Like, all that's great too. Yeah. But I'm just saying, this is a different place. Like, not a lot of women fit in. And I think it's been hard for some people to adjust to that. Not that they're against women, just that they're like, but why? Right.
Yeah.
Like,
I get it. There's been a cultural shift in that direction. We've been blessed to have like the women who appear on this show, yourself, Vicky Joy Anderson, Karen Wilkinson. We have
Danny from the Rabbit Hole podcast.
Danny from the Rabbit Hole. What's her name?
There's another one that I saw. Kay Podgy seems like somebody that like that, but the women are few and far between, especially ones that like, because there are, and I will say there are a lot that I'm like, I don't really take this person seriously, and I don't think they take themselves that seriously either.
Some of them are just doing it for the, like anybody, whether it's a
for
man
likes
or a woman,
or fun, or whatever. Maybe just for fun. I don't hate on people like that. Look, that's okay too. We all need our thing. You know,
Yeah,
if
yeah.
that's your hobby.
Cosmic Peach is a good
dope.
one. Who is
yeah,
Jay
she's
Dyer's
funny,
wife?
yeah.
I don't want to call her Jay Dyer's wife. I feel like such an asshole.
I
for
know
saying
who
that.
you're
Dyer.
talking
Jamie
about.
Dyer.
Jamie,
She crushes,
yes.
dude. But
Yes.
she's one of these people just like Heidi. When they come on, I'm exposed to a bunch of shit that I didn't know.
But here's
So
an interesting metric though, Heidi, which we like. So our YouTube page is growing now, and we pay a little bit more attention to the analytics. Surprised to see, like, even though like
oh my god, yeah,
we're dudes and we talk a lot of
and we're
stupid shit.
assholes. Yeah,
It's about 50-50 woman men. Yeah, and we're talking about like, you know, like deeper stuff. So there is an interest of like women that like this stuff. And I think there's going to be a weird resurgence where you're going to start seeing a lot of women seriously stepping into the space and like coming forward and doing a good job.
Well, you know what it is?
Yes.
If you really observe the spiritual and supernatural aspect of
girls are
conspiracy
all
theory,
over it.
women are typically like they're into it. They I think they're a little bit closer to the veil in a lot of ways, and so they have more spiritual interactions and encounters than men typically do. And if they're not grounded in Christ, that will drive them everywhere. But that's why you have like such a huge.
Oh, remember Bimbo Astrology?
Bimbo Astrology. She was saying
That's her name. She's great.
She's awesome. She's awesome. Yeah. But she
Good name.
like many other people, are drawn to these mystical teachings because on some level, I think women are willing to engage with the thing despite the materialistic paradigm saying that's not real, right? Because that's what we live in here in the West. They go, that's not real. And they go, shut the hell up. I'm going to look at it anyway. And so in that way, it's fantastic. It's just got to get rooted in Christ, but that's everybody's game.
Well, or expose it, right? Like we aren't just called to understand it. Like a lot of people are like, good for you, go figure it out. But like, no, I'm called to expose evil. That's my job. I'm supposed to do that. And people say, well, you talked to that one Gnostic guy, or you talked to the, and you didn't say anything. How much do you think I'm going to get through to a person and even try to help them in any frame or fashion and not, you can't really preach to them, right? In that situation, you have to agree to disagree, but you need to learn from them, because really at the end of the day as Christians, and I hate to bring this up, you're not going to get it by talking to other Christians. You will never understand. You won't.
Correct.
So
yeah,
and if you offend everybody in the first 4 minutes when you go, that's not true, and Bible thump, you're not getting anywhere. You're not.
Well, that's what I've found in the exploration of these topics is that many of the things that people are glomming onto have quite a bit of truth. Actual truth within them. It always comes down to the nature of a thing, though. And
absolutely.
So, you know, if you're observing numerology, if you're observing astrology, if you're engaging with spirits that you think are ancestor spirits and you're doing some sort of Wiccan, I'm not even saying you are not interacting with an entity. You are. And that thing might be imparting on you actual valuable information that is rooted in truth, but its nature is to deceive you, and it's deceiving you about its very nature. And so what you
and it knows everything.
It knows everything. That's like, I was listening to something just today or yesterday, and it was talking about like psychics and everything. And I was like, yeah, like I get it, but you're not leaving any room for familiar spirits communicating with familiar spirits, whispering into the ears of the recipient. Like,
and this says it right here. Like when Mormonism, they want to say, well, that was just folk magic with this pentacle. Okay. But it doesn't say that. And they said, well, he was just trying to protect himself. Read this. This says it protects those who invoke and cause the spirits to come. Look, that's a different thing. That's exactly what you're talking about. That's exactly what John D is talking about.
Can you make that big screen? I want to see that. This is so this is the Jupiter talisman. This defendeth zoom out a little bit. I can't see that top area there. I want to start from the top. Okay.
Right there.
So these defendeth and protected those who invoke and cause the spirits to come. When they appear, show unto them this pinnacle, and immediately they will obey. That's fascinating, because I think a lot of what these things do is they will. So like, let's say one of the examples I bring up all the time is sage. People will sage their homes. I think effectively what you're doing is you're giving a burnt offering that appeases a spirit momentarily, but then they come back stronger, not only because it is, a place
whose magic is it? Whose magic is it?
Exactly. And this pentacle where it's like, how advantageous would it be for them to get you to believe that this thing has some power? Back off for a time and then come back.
Why would you need a seer stone and a hat if you just believed in God?
Yeah.
You wouldn't.
Yeah.
You wouldn't.
Yeah, it's so crazy too. Is the top hat that he has?
Oh yeah, this is the real hat right here. And that's the other prophet of the church that just passed away, Russell M. Nelson.
So that's the
And
same
so
hat? No, is that the
that
same hat?
yes, they took it out of the deep storage of the tunnels underneath the temple, which they are documented and there for anybody. The church says they're there, that they use them for transportation underneath the city. Weird. And they also have armed guards. So if you try to go do that, the Mormon CIA will probably shoot your ass. But anyway, yeah, they have a vault just like the Pope, and they finally couldn't deny it anymore. They were like, okay, you want to see the hat? Like, fine, I'll do a photo app. And then they did it with, the rock, his seer stone, as well. And the pouch
one?
that he
Because there's
carried it
two
in.
things. Oh, that's
This
the
is
pouch.
yep, it's just shaped to it at this point. But yep, he carried it with him. And funny enough, even though he believed in his magical underwear, he didn't die with those on, but he sure died with that Jupiter talisman in his pocket.
I'll tell you what, man, I have like a real, and I think this is because of what, not only the allure of it naturally, because obviously the idea of a powerful artifact is enticing to mankind, right? I mean, it speaks to something deep within maybe our genetics, but also the way that Hollywood and the video game industry and everything have constantly presented us as we've developed and gotten older, and compelling stories, shows, etc. Powerful artifacts that imbue its wielder with something that is, beyond the capabilities of normal men. You look into Greek mythology, where these demigods are often given something by their fallen angel parents, whether it's like Perseus, where he gets this polished shield and his sword, and I believe he might have a bow on top of it, but there's always like these weapons or these things, and it's like super tempting, right? This like beautiful object that elevates you above the average person in order to pull off heroic feats. Like, damn, what a cool concept, right? But
well, especially if you think you're bloodline of the gods, which they do.
Yeah, well, there you go. That's that demigod thing resonates with you. It bridges the gap between you and your celestial parent, your fallen angel parent, or what have you. It's just fascinating over and over again.
100%. And they do this time and time again. Like, we've got Mormon transhumanists, we've got Howard Hughes wanting to be frozen, Jeffrey Epstein wanting to be frozen. All these people that are, like you said, they want to defy normal, right? But none of them live all that long. I mean, it's like, okay, it's normal. I mean, that prophet that I just showed you, he lived till 101.
Well, there is something about talismans, because in the Bible and like in the book of Acts, Paul has different things. I'm like, in Acts 19, he had some aprons, handkerchiefs, and like other cloths that he touched, and they were just like bringing them to sick people. And
that's right. And they were being healed when they were touching him, right?
Yeah, so he wasn't like actually physically there, but this thing had a power. And I mean, even Jesus, the woman touches his cloth, and he's like, he turns to his apostles, and he's like, yo, who touched me? But like, the translation of the Greek was like, who took from me?
Oh, that's fascinating.
Yeah. I forget the exact word, but like, she touched the cloth and took power from him, and she was healed.
I'll tell you what, I would love to.
This is crazy.
I would love to think along the lines of like, the inversionism. Satan doesn't have the ability to create; he only has the ability to kind of hijack what God has already made and invert it in some way, shape, or form.
That's a principle, then. Like,
that's what I'm saying.
These things do work.
So you're saying there's a chance.
You're saying this.
You find some dope ass, sword in the stone type situation. You know what I mean? That's it. Yeah. Gonna like really check in with God over and over. You're like, are you sure? If you ever find a sword in a stone and you manage to pull it out, just take some time before you wield it. Go like, God, are you sure, dude? Because I'll toss this thing back into the ocean or back into the to the lake. Man,
you're like, I'll put it back. I'll put it
back. I'll begrudge. Put it back. Can I take a selfie with it?
Yeah,
something cool.
Yeah. I mean, a selfie, and I think we see that time and time again with cursed objects or blessed objects. We see this, and I don't discount magic ever, because it would have gone away. Why would people keep doing it? That's stupid. No.
I saw something, is a conversation between two people. I forgot who it was, but they were like, big, sort of influential. Might have been like a Tucker Carlson, or let's say, but I don't remember exactly. But the interviewer asked, what, in your opinion, is the best evidence for Jesus Christ? And he responded, whoever this was, I'm not saying it was Tucker, responded, the fact that we're sitting here talking about him right now. It's like, yeah, man.
There you go.
2,000 years later, still talking about the dude. Like, I mean, that's an insane, right underneath your nose thing to overlook.
How about that you can't talk about him?
Yeah.
Like you can get a Coke with any name on it but Jesus. Like you can get all this weird stuff, right? Like
Not only that,
and
but all throughout the
yeah.
90s and 2000s and even the 80s, if you got on stage and you made fun of him, you get a round of applause.
If you said he was
Yeah.
king, you get fired from the Daily Wire.
Touche.
Yep. And it makes you see, like, obviously, like you said, they're creating, like, look at this slide where it says the DNA from the original 13 families became the Rosetta Stone of human genetics. This is Utah Mormons families. This is Utah Mormon families. The 1,000 Genomes Project. Even today, when scientists do massive global studies like the 1,000 Genomes Project, they still go back to the CEPH Utah samples, which the CEPH is those original 13 families.
So you can say a lot about them, but you can't say they weren't thorough in their investigations.
I mean, they're
Which they
smart.
claim to be.
Yeah, they're smart. I mean, they are definitely all about it. And what did they do to, fund it? Of course, they overtook Howard Hughes, or maybe I feel like they made him believe. I think he read the Golden Bough, and so did they. And I think they were like, "You're the king," and looky. And I don't know.
Yeah.
That's just my thoughts, but whatever.
To clarify, Heidi, when they're saying the 13 families, are they saying the 13 tribes?
They're saying 13 actual families in Utah are now the Rosetta Stone for all genetic studies in the world.
Now, I don't want to seem racist, but I'm going to go ahead and say it.
I'm sure they're all.
No, but like when we're talking about what God would have created, is it now, Heidi has kind of like blonde hair. She's got blue eyes, white skin. Versus like a Rabbi Shmuley type that's in the, it's just when I look surface level, I like take all your knowledge out of your head and you look at the guys that are from like, the Orthodox Jewish community, they're like hunched over, they're like all like dysgenic. And I'm kind of like, God made this.
When she said earlier that
it's weird.
Like you guys both mentioned it earlier that they won't allow like that kind of genetic testing in Israel, right?
Right.
And is that because they want to obfuscate that they are of the line, or are they trying to avoid like a great big revelation that says like you have no genetic connection?
I forget who I was talking to, but there was
what if it's the inbreeding too? Like what if they can't narrow it down because there's so much? Well,
that's
like
true.
the inbreeding of like maybe they won't know. Maybe it's one big line and they're like, sorry, like you don't have a tree, you have a pole.
Oh, that's a crazy con. You don't have a tree, you have a pole.
Well,
yeah, sorry.
That's crazy.
Maybe brought up the theory of like, what if this is because we argue with Matt all the time about like the Jews and what they're doing there, and I'm like, they're kind of like they're Polish, they're from all over the place. And he's like, oh, but it's a miracle, God brought them all back to the land. What if they're just there to kind of like take the spots around it and do what they're supposed to do, and then when they do, they're out. Like the Vatican has breaches in there.
Want to hear something crazy? The Mormon Church sent Orson Hyde, who was a Jew. His last name was Heidelbaum, but he cut it down and he became one of the first Mormon people. And then he went to Jerusalem before the Balfour Declaration. So before anybody claimed the land per se in a treaty, at least wise, right? Like people have claimed the land, but the Balfour Declaration kind of substantiated them as a country, But he went to the Mount of Olives and stuck his flag in the ground and dedicated it to the LDS Church. What does that mean?
Yeah, it goes right in line to that theory of these guys, and it's really sad, man, because it's like a group of people that is a scapegoat almost. They're going to do all this dirty work. As we watch the narrative change against them, and we wonder why it's so easy and open now, and people like have huge platforms, and not to knock any of them.
Yeah, no, I get it. No,
I get it. It's frustrating. Like, yeah, but look at what they're doing. It's very frustrating, and they're clearly doing wrong. And now you can kind of build a platform off of like telling the truth and bashing them in a way. But it almost seems like, it's being presented to us so that way it can be taken out of the way. But then what replaces that?
So you're saying they're seat warming?
They're seat warming for either the Vatican, or for the Mormon Church, or maybe there's like going to be a mixture of both of. Yeah,
all the time.
I like that. I think you're right on with that.
Yeah,
I think you're right on with that.
Think about what does Rothschild mean? It means red shield. Shield. What does a shield do? It protects somebody else. That means they're holding the shield, a placeholder for somebody else to be protected.
Bingo.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's
So-
so interesting too, because
Which
you
is
have
why,
like,
we always have this art. Sorry to
No,
cut
go
you
ahead,
off,
go
but
ahead.
it's like, who the fuck are these people?
uh-huh.
And then when you bring that up, you can't even get past go because they're like the promised people. Look at them, and I'm like, I'm looking at them. They're like, I don't think so.
Well, there's like this idea of like 13 families that are hidden behind 13 false families.
Are they
Yes,
Italian? Yeah,
I've
some of
seen
them are
that.
Italian.
Yes.
Some of them are
Most
Italian.
of
Yeah,
them.
that's funny.
Some of them are
Some
Italian.
of them
Yeah,
are Italian.
like
yeah,
the
they
black
are.
nobility. Yeah, it's,
Most of them. Yep. Oh,
You have no idea because
You have no idea. Yeah.
we have a third co-host. He does a show called Straight Bible, and he doesn't understand like the conspiracy kind of stuff.
I
And
have
so
to
he goes,
argue with him only on surface level. So
Yeah.
but I can't admit like
Don't go
there is a
deep.
black. Exactly, but
And
like
he will say
surface level is like we're watching Israel
Yeah.
coax America into a war right now, and it was like, can we at least talk about that? And it's like, well, why not other countries?
Yeah, he'll go, oh wait, so you mean to tell me that if you don't look at any other thing that's bad, like a pornography company, he's like, you won't find like, let's say like Italians, and it's like, well, actually, I suppose.
Yeah, but what we're dealing with right now, what you need to see is the superficial evil, and you're not even seeing that.
So that we can then tell you you're wrong about that.
so that you can say,
you're
well,
gonna
it's
break
only-
his brain.
Dude, that's really crazy though. I think you guys nailed it with this idea that they're seat warmers, because yeah, if you look at them, I'm gonna go ahead and, because for lack of better vocabulary, in very many instances when you see them, they have I'm just gonna say it, dude. They have like a Neanderthal kind of a visage to them. They look messed up. There's all this inbreeding that begets, right, within Ashkenazi Jews. There's a disproportionate amount of schizophrenia. Schizophrenia is also something that comes by way of inbreeding. It's very common within inbred families, and I think you have these like almost obvious screwed up people sitting in this chair warming the seat so that the world can point and go, wait a second, but you got to get the world to notice.
It's an insult when they go, yep, this is what God created.
This man is a testicle.
And
But
you go,
the thing
"Oh."
is it can't just be the inbreeding, because here's the thing. They support this too. So the Mormons here reportedly, like, they developed theories on genetics that feed into genetics later. Okay. This guy that settled Davis County and started Davis County Co-op, I have a really old book on this, and he talks about how he was breeding his cattle. He was inbreeding them. And then he decided that to keep his bloodline pure, he was going to inbreed his family. And he did. And he does to this day. And they do not prosecute him for it.
Whoa.
Because he gives them a lot of money. They're very rich.
Whoa. But what happens to them? And they have to all be fully retarded now. I saw a family recently that was just like with the oldest inbreeding family in like, some place in the South. And dude was barking like a dog. Like he was like, they were like, he goes up to the guy. He's like, show me where the garden is. And the guy goes, "Ruh, ruh." And he's like, show me where the garden is. And then he starts like waddling over to the garden, and he shows him the garden, and he's all excited. And I'm like, oh my God, that's crazy. So is this guy's family not?
Well, they're weird, but here's the weird part is when we talk about inbreeding in America, it gets weird, and it always goes back to these pilgrim people, this pilgrim society too. Are we all inbreeding that came from that? Like, is that why they only want Mormon blood? Because they know Mormons are like completely saturated here. And also we're at like a 70% O positive blood type here. And also,
Wow.
The genetics, like they supported the Nazis in the war. Like they inadvertently did it, but they did it. And I'm just saying, like, I'm not saying that there's not issues with all of it. Okay. There's issues on all sides. I agree. And there's issues on where people come from and what's really going on in Sephardic versus like Ashkenazi and all this whole mix and taking over. Like that aside, here's the thing. I think they know, and I think they know because of 2020 and the grab that they did and the genetics knowledge that they've had for so long. Like they've had this genetic knowledge literally for like that guy that I just told you about. That's old. That's really old, before genetics was even whatever. They're just breeding cattle. And so all of this stuff goes back to the thought for me is They know what we all are. And it doesn't matter if you didn't have a test for COVID. It doesn't matter if you didn't do the jab. If you ever had surgery, even at birth, they do a PKU out of the sole of your foot. And when I showed you these, let me show you this one again. When I showed you these drawers, remember, these are supposed to be file drawers. Okay. These look little to me. That doesn't look like a file to me. That looks small.
Little, like just small
like
enough to hold a
safety-
sample of
A
DNA.
safety deposit box.
Have you
almost.
ever seen a PKU test? I'm a nurse, so they look exactly like a bill envelope. That's how big they are. Do you think that would fit perfectly in those drawers?
Man, dude, I don't know how, and I wonder if you find this, Heidi, when you come and share this stuff with people, are they taken back by like how much? I mean, when you're talking to us, it's like the
I think
Mormons.
I'm crazy.
Well, no, not crazy. It seems like the Mormons are the big masked player almost.
They are. Look, all of these people, like if we talk about skull and bones, okay, if we talk about family lines where the Bushes are literally related, where we talk about skull and bones only has one other satellite, not a different thing. It's an actual satellite, same chapter, same wax seal, same everything, is here in Utah. Why? Right? Well, the Huntington Russell guy, he was Joseph Smith's cousin. And all these very important people are related 110%. And that's why I think, they do this slight little nod for Utah, like Epstein, like Howard Hughes. That's why they're like, make sure my blood is good. That's why they had segregation. They used to say, like there's a quote from Brigham Young that says, if you find your wife with a black person, run a knife through both of them and do them a favor and spill their blood on the ground. They're talking about blood atonement. They're talking about all this weird stuff. But I'm telling you guys, like this comes from magic knowledge, right? Yeah. Master Mahon, Cain, this is old as that. This is very old. And so when we talk about this stuff, I don't think it's just the Mormons. I think it's that top 1 to 2% of all religions. And I've been tracing, so I'm going to be doing a history podcast soon. Epstein fucked it up. Like I was almost ready. Then it was
you on
all
the trail, huh?
Yeah, well, because everybody jumps and then you jump. And so, of course, when I saw Mormon blood, I had to stop for a minute. But when you see that and you look at all of these religions just go whoosh out of it, and you see actually that, the Mormon line of the mother of Joseph Smith goes on to be some of the first bankers ever in Michigan. And they settled Pontiac, Michigan. Yes, I know Chief Pontiac founded it, but settled, permanent settlement. Then they start intermarrying. His son intermarries with Native Americans, and then they get all this land grab because of treaties. And then they do the same thing in Hawaii, and they do the same thing overseas. And you see this time and time again, and you go, holy shit. Like, how much are they infiltrated? Well, they go to the Rothschilds, they go to the railroads, they go everywhere they're not supposed to be. Even when I'm trying to do a podcast not about Mormons, I'm like, why the fuck are you here?
That's
like,
your
why?
job, Heidi. That's your job. You've been
know.
tasked with this thing. And I have a feeling there's no pulling yourself away from it. Look,
we haven't asked her because we started asking after the last time we had her on.
Well, before we do, I just want to say one more, and we can't open it because it's a can of worms and we have to bring the show in for a landing. But I find it interesting that a lot of the guys that are associated with disclosure right now, like Elizondo and these guys, they came out of like the Robert Bigelow Skinwalker Ranch camp originally. And then, and then they kind of like, I don't know, pivoted, and that was like a thing that would kind of get ridiculed, the Skinwalker Ranch. So like, this is a much more serious endeavor. And I think they probably would be grateful for less people knowing that was kind of how they got their start, was the Robert Bigelow Skinwalker Ranch situation.
Didn't he
in
say
Utah.
He sold that because it was like too much supernatural stuff?
I don't know
on.
what the hell is going on there.
He was scaredy pants, right?
Yeah,
like,
it's a weird ass spot, but
It's well,
Heidi,
and for people that one more thing just before,
Sure.
because this is a clincher. So I want people to understand too with JP Morgan and how it relates with the lawsuits. And this includes the Mormon church because JP Morgan is still to this day one of their top 10 investments. Bill Gates is not. Somebody tagged me in that one on X. And I'm like, do you think they're going to leave the STD guy there? No, they're not. So, I mean, he's drugging his wife with it was all nefarious. I'm
I
sure
love that
he
he's the
swears.
STD guy now.
Right. And this guy, Jeff Staley, comes up. Did you hear anything about this, Jeff Staley?
I don't think so.
So
Doesn't sound familiar.
he's all over. He's the personal banker, okay, of Epstein, or he was, because
okay. Yeah,
he got
yeah.
in trouble. Okay. Well, then I started researching his family line because that's kind of who I am as a person, and that's what I do. So I start going down his family line, and what do I find? He is a banker, no big surprise there, that literally worked with Howard Hughes, the other guy, E. Perry Thomas, to open up Las Vegas, infiltrate the Teamsters Union funds, and use all of this to basically go forward. And I was like, this can't be the same guy. There's no way. I'm looking for it right now. And it is. It's the same damn person.
These
And
guys
so when
all just play together.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it is. And that's the
Mhm.
thing. It never ends. When I told my mom about it, she was like, what do you mean? And this Editas medicine also infiltrates into HHMI. So when we're talking about CRISPR technology, it comes out of HHMI. When we're talking about Editas medicine, it connects to HHMI, which is Howard Hughes Medical Institute. And it also connects back to this other guy that worked with E. Perry Thomas in Las Vegas, who was the JP Morgan guy's dad. It is his dad. And so I just couldn't believe it. I was like, what?
This is what we
Why?
keep
Why are
finding
you
is like
here?
all of your favorite names in conspiracy all play together.
Yes, 100%.
That's the definition of conspiracy.
Oh, a touche.
Yeah. And Howard Hughes, obviously, he was one of the very first to be completely obsessed with this mapping of the human blueprint. And he put all his money, time, and effort into it. And then it's founded where? Right here in Utah with the Human Genome Project at the Alta Club. It's funded by all of these people we're talking about. They came here to Utah this is the Alta Club back then. And it's very interesting when we get into all of these startups, where their money came from and how it ties together. Exactly what you said.
Oh, the philanthropy at the BYU is what you said, put a pin in that from that earlier Epstein
Yes,
file.
100%. And then, I just started traveling down family lines because that's mainly what I'll start doing, because I'm like, hey, what about this? What about this? And that's how it happens for me. People always say, how do you dig this stuff up? That's how, because I want to know how and why and where that started, like what's going on there. Don't forget, we have the genetic capacity to clone dogs. Don't forget, Tom Brady did this. Okay.
Yep.
Like, don't think that this can't be done.
Yeah,
to
Dolly
people.
the sheep. That was back in the what, 80s or 90s, Dolly the sheep. Like, of course. And that was not the cutting edge of what they were capable of. That was just what they were willing to let us see that long ago.
The Raelians say they did it. This weirdo Rael guy. I studied his cult. It aligns completely with the Mormon religion. Like it's very telling.
We've been on that guy for about a year or two, well, maybe more than that.
Weird.
It's wild.
Weird. So don't forget, you guys, that this all ties back straight through, and we didn't even get into the satanic really end of it. That's
what I was going to say. We have another show coming up in about 15, but I want to extend an invite for a part 2 if you want to.
No, we should have more other Mormons on again and then fight with Heidi.
No, I think I've heard enough from the other Mormons. We'll fight with Heidi for a year and then we'll come back and a year.
It would have been fine if it was just your show. They were so weird that they were like making shows. They made 5
dealing
shows.
With somebody's faith, right? I mean, that's it at the end of the day. When you're doing do
it on the faith, do it on the argument of the real stuff.
Sure. Heidi, as we bring it in for a close, number one, like I said, I'd like to offer you a 2-parter, because I think there's a lot more here that we need to be getting into, and I feel like as your research is going on, you're going to be uncovering a lot more. So when this is over, you have that link. I would, the door's open to you. Pick a day that works for
Awesome.
you, and let's run it back. Before we get out of here, Heidi, let's remind everybody where they can find your work, your website, and everything else.
Okay, awesome. And also to you guys, I've never had you on yet, so invitation
that's right.
extended. It'll be fun.
Awesome.
So,
Thank you very much.
It'll be awesome. Yeah, that'll be fun. So I am Heidi Luv. I am of the Unfiltered Rise podcast, everywhere podcasts are served. But of course, unfilteredrisepodcast.com will send you to wherever you need to be, links to my Patreon, links to other things. I do a medical series with Janet from Deplorable Nation, and we go into very strange stuff about medical. So we've done a carnival series about like weird deformities. We've done like our newest one, obviously aligning with Epstein, it's called All About the Blood. And yeah, so it's pretty interesting. Check it out. You'll get a couple extra shows there, and hopefully they'll be interesting to you. And if you're wondering about that HGA video, right up there at the top of the pin there, our old murdering friend, he talks all about how the Mormons found their HGA. So yep.
Very cool. Yeah, Heidi, you've been crushing it lately.
Heidi,
Thank you.
The question to let you go. How was your impact with the nurse community? Because
I can't talk about it. Yeah, they don't let me talk about it at work.
I guess my wife. I'm like, man, like it seems like a good avenue. Like you're a nurse, like you have a lot to talk about with these guys, but maybe there's just not the overlap of
maybe because it's such a legally.
I work at the Mental
convoluted.
Institute.
Oh, interesting.
So they don't want us talking to. They don't want anybody to overhear any weird conversations about the news or about conspiracies because it could mess them up. So they're just like, no, yeah, none of that. So no talking about homunculus at work. It might screw somebody up.
Have you ever talked to Dr. Jerry Marzinski?
No, not yet. No, I should.
All right, you have to. Yeah, I'm sure you'll find his work fascinating.
I love it. I know what he does. I do want to talk to him. He's great. So
I would like to see that episode. That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, thanks again, guys. I'm glad it's all straightened out. To the other guy, keep it on the information. Leave my nose out of it, or like how I look or weird stuff. Also, learn to take a joke. Poor Thomas.
Well, there you go.
They were making jokes about him too.
His name's not nice guy.
How about
I'm sure,
Thomas? Oh my God.
He's a super nice guy.
He is. It's just like you guys are at odds on a faith thing, and that's always going to be difficult to navigate. But thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it. It was good to talk to you again.
Yeah.
Of course. Awesome.
Guys,
thanks again, guys.
Until next time, don't forget to obey, submit, and comply. We'll catch you in a couple minutes. And that didn't end the show. There we go.
They bred with